Welcome back to SaharaTV. My name is Rudolf Okonkwo. When we say that there is a crisis in the governing All Progressive Congress in Nigeria, it is an understatement. A commentator said this week that if the leader of the APC in the in the southwest, Mr. Bola Tinubu, if he leaves APC today, that APC is finished. And if he stays in APC, that APC is finished. We are going to discuss the crisis in APC, the crisis in the Nigerian National Assembly, with a noted commentator who just returned from Nigeria. He also was at the inauguration of the President, Muhammadu Buhari. So we are here to welcome to our studio again our regular guest, Dr. Peregrino Braimah. Dr. Braimah, welcome back to SaharaTV.
Thank you very much, Rudolf.
Okay. I understand you just came back from Nigeria, and it's been 5 weeks or more since the inauguration. The euphoria that we experienced, we talked to you right there from Abuja. Has it changed? What is your take on what happened in the last 5 weeks?
I think most of Nigerians have, we're having mixed reactions. There's some degree of progress. You know, we must comment that there has been some good degree of progress. At the same time, people are cautiously cautious. You know, let me use the word cautious, because we must both agree that it's kind of early to judge. We have had quite a bunch of failures, but if we imagined any one of us suddenly resuming governance, I don't think we'll be able to get our pace within, of that country. This is a country of a population of, 170 million, a lot of intellectuals, biggest country in Africa, and they suddenly carry some of us who did not really think we would win, and then we did not really think they will hand over to us. So, people have been dealing with all of those problems till the day they got inaugurated, and then suddenly you're in charge of, an entire nation that is on the brink of collapse and of recession. I think we can give them a comfortable pass mark so far.
Now, for people who are on the other camp, the Jonathan's camp, the PDP, they say that nobody gave them this kind of understanding and leeway that people are asking that should be given to Buhari's government. You've been following Nigeria's politics for a long time. Do you think that the Buhari's government is now being given the honeymoon, so to say, period that most governments get?
I think, first of all, for me in particular, I don't even listen. I do not regard the People's Democratic Party as still, to me that's an organization that has been labeled with a lot of crimes, including terror. So I don't really regard what comes from that side of the aisle. But I don't think the immediate prior government, Jonathan's government, can claim that the country they received from Yar'Adua, late Yar'Adua, was in the state that Nigeria is today. And I do not think the Yar'Adua government can claim that the country they got from Obasanjo is in the state we are today. After 16 years of PDP, Nigeria has taken a bashing. Now, I think, if my recollection is right, we were actually mild. All this stuff, this media frenzy, is rather recent. People encouraged Jonathan. People embraced Jonathan when Jonathan started. People had hope in Jonathan. In fact, Sahara reporters canvassed for Jonathan and, told Turai Yar'Adua that you should, give him space to come in. And that was after he had already done like 1 year, within which he had disbanded Nigeria's football team, which was a great offense. And in spite of that great offense, where when he was acting president, he just came in and disbanded the team and almost got us banned by FIFA, we still wanted him to take over power as was his right as deputy president. So I don't listen to, and the only problem I have right now is when APC responds to them. PDP does not exist. They are like dinosaurs. This is something going extinct. This is a party, to me, this is a terror organization that has been linked to terror. Their former chairman, Amanga Tuku, said Boko Haram is fighting for justice. Boko Haram is another name for justice. And they maintained him as their chairman. These are the things they should be looking at, because soon the current government is going for their party and their people who have been directly linked to terror. This is what they should be worried about. Let's
go back to APC and the crisis. Recently, it became full-blown when Bola Saraki decided that he wanted to be the president of the Senate, and he maneuvered his way and became the president of the Senate. And that made the crisis to be worse than it was before. I want to know your take on the process, how he became the Senate president, and what has followed that decision and the split in APC.
So we all knew that APC was a Congress. You know, it was an association of a lot of different powerful entities. That's politically powerful. I would not say powerful intellectually in other ways. Some of them are. But we've always known that APC has been that kind of an association with, very little love. But the party rode on a common desire, an urgency for change in Nigeria. And so I think the crisis happening in APC right now, to be honest, I don't pay too much attention to it, because a lot of these people, evolution is happening. And evolution is happening in our entire political scene. And that's why they are tumbling over each other. Back in the day, they all used to just come together and say, how do we divide this loot? But now, everybody has to kind of fight each other. It's like dog fighting dog. They have to fight each other to try to scramble to get position. What Saraki did was, that was treachery. That was straight up treacherous. It was a betrayal. But on the same token, I don't know whether I'm not someone who knows senators or who used to really study them. I only know the ones who are proactive. But I don't know Ahmed Lawan. So the choice of Saraki and Ahmed Lawan, I understood they were saying it needed to be zoned, but then that's a whole other question again. Does it need to be zoned? So you have Saraki doing his thing, and then you have these people doing their thing and saying, oh, we are supposed to zone it this way, we are supposed to zone it that way.
But looking at Saraki's history, there are news reports this week about his history of money laundering and charges and crime and, his history. Do you think he represents that change? Because some people in APC are saying that with him as the Senate president, we should forget about the change that we were promised.
I see Saraki as the victim of, in fact, I would advise him to step aside, because I'm looking at it from a whole different perspective here. There is a war that we are waging, and the people are waging on the corrupt legislation. This is a big problem. So Saraki is sitting down there, and he wants to hold that on behalf of the people and be the symbol and epitome of the corruption. That's what I see him as. Saraki inclusive, a lot of these people don't have any legitimacy to be in our halls of power. It goes without saying, I was talking with a friend of mine, and we're talking about this criminality. And he was like, oh, these people, you need to understand impunity and this. And I said, if I go to the House of Assembly and I remove a tire from a car, do you know what's going to happen to me? If I took just one tire from a car, I may be locked up without trial. And then you have these people who have been indicted for crimes, stealing millions, and we shouldn't even be having a conversation about them being there. The problem is Nigerian masses are still asleep. So even though I'm mentioning Ahmed Lawan, that I don't know who he is, the entire process is still the remnant of what we've had, where Obasanjo's time you had the first Senate president and then replaced by another. I don't believe Saraki is going to use up to a year or 2 years on that seat. He can't last, and he has he may have had a political career, but now I think he has totally stabbed himself in the foot with what he has done. But as a whole, I think what we are seeing is a transformation going on. And it's not like before anymore.
Let's talk about transformation. Sule Lamido today gave out the quote of, this week, the quote of the year, if you ask me. He said, "You mean I'm now a prisoner?" This was a man who, a little while ago, maybe a year ago, Obasanjo was pushing him to be the president. And if Jonathan had agreed to step down, this man would have been the president of Nigeria. This week he was saying, "You mean I'm a prisoner now?" So what's going on? Is EFCC waking up? Why is it possible now to have him go and answer charges against him and his sons?
EFCC boss wants to keep his job. You see, we all have it in us. Innately within us, we all know what is right and what is wrong. But Jonathan's government brought out the worst in everybody who worked with him. He turned everybody into dogs. A lot of these people were dogs before, like Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. We used to respect her during Obasanjo's time. They came out like, she was on TED Talk and, is like this person who seemed to know. And then Jonathan brought out the worst in people. In fact, to a great degree, we need to thank Jonathan, because Jonathan let us know what kind of dogs we have in that country. So EFCC boss always had it in him. He always knew his job. But now he has started his job. And we are looking at the list. We are looking at the amount stolen. It has just started. In fact, it's a beautiful new dawn in Nigeria right now when you are just looking at the way things are. You have people being charged with what? I have to say I have some admiration for Admiral Murtala Nyako, but I'm sorry. He's being held for 29 billion naira. 29 billion. You have the head of civil service being held for what, 2 billion. This is beautiful. You
have a Hakim in jail, locked up, and then given bail for the same amount of money that he's accused of stealing. So if he wants to disappear already, they have access to be able to.
Maybe they can be lenient on them. If you pay what you owe entirely, maybe they can give you a couple of months in jail.
Now let's because we have to touch on it. You mentioned Ngozi, and there was this issue about Ngozi deciding to spend money without approval from the excess crude account. So Ngozi's people are saying that it was approved, and then they said now, the president, that was Jonathan, gave her the approval to spend that money, which they didn't follow the process. So do you think that Ngozi will ever get to answer to some of these things, or do you think that she's free?
The case has just started. We are just a month and change. We need to just sit back, buy popcorn and watch this whole thing unfold, because we are seeing things. We knew how they used to dip their hand in that bucket and take out that money. We knew when they spent $6 billion on the political campaign, this money is coming from somewhere.
What is this LGN money that they suddenly found that they are giving out to state governors to pay workers? We've never heard of that money. Have you heard about the money? Where has the money gone for the last 16 years?
This is where Nigeria is moving in an entirely new direction. From the way I see the way the government is, I think a lot of handling corruption and the economy. The vice president is handling a lot of that. A lot of that has been relegated to him, and he's an excellent man. He's our minister of the economy now. We have the proper person. Before, I don't know why the other guy couldn't be minister of the economy, but we have the proper person be minister of the economy. And if you watch the meeting they had some meeting about some weeks ago. What they are doing now is they are tying up the holes. The way Nigeria used to run, all the public parastatals, when they make their money, and these people make billions. We make billions from Ports Authority, we make billions from customs, we make billions from all these different. A lot of them keep the money in private banks, and that's what was the formal method. They keep their money in private banks, and then they remit just what they want to the federation account. So they may decide they may be remitting like just 10% of their earnings. That's all they used to remit. But now that is being changed. And now all the money entirely, as was announced on the news, all the money from all the different government assets is going first into the central bank account. And then we give you what you need. So we are going to be seeing all these kind of monies coming like we've never imagined in that. Nigeria is a very, very rich country. We have 170 million people. We import things all the time. Money is coming in from the ports. Where is all this money? These are the only institutions that they reappraise their salaries. Every year, every 2 years, they reappraise their salaries and give themselves more. It's not just the Senate that we are fighting now. The Senate giving themselves 150 billion, it's not only them. All these people, NNPC, Ports Authority, they all swallow Nigeria's money and leave us with nothing. Nigeria can well afford to pay these things.
I know we're told that we have to round up, but let me ask you to talk about Femi Fani-Kayode. We thought we are over, that he's gone, but he finds a way to keep putting himself into the discussion. One is that he got discharged from his case, and just this week he basically said that we deserve what we're getting with Boko Haram attacks on Nigeria. What is your take on why he continues to put himself in the middle of this discussion, and what the meaning of what he says?
These are the last few days of his glory. These are the last few days where we are going to... Nigeria's media scene got into a mud pool, you know. Everybody talking, you know, everybody made relevant. We listened to incoherent people. All this was PDP politics. So these are the last few days of him talking. He's either going to be locked up in jail, or he's going to fade out just like, you know, old styles fade out. There's soon not going to be, in fact, there's soon not going to be any media space given, accommodated to him. So when I look at PDP, I look at these people, this is a dying dog, and they're just barking. But
I won't let you go before we talk about Buhari's appointments. People were disappointed that the way they read the appointments, or the few appointments made so far, most of them were people from the north, that he essentially ignored the rest of the country. Could it be, what is your take on why it happened that way, and what does that mean?
The number of appointments we are talking about, in my view, is about 3 or 4. Okay. So I think there are still a lot of slots left. And I do understand, I mean, I'm not going to fool myself or lie to anybody. I do understand where for certain sensitive positions, you put people you know, and the urgency to fill those spots. In fact, I heard the reason why he has not yet gotten ministers is because he set up a certain criteria and nobody passed it. They set up a criteria and nobody passed. I love Amici, but couldn't pass. I love Fashola, but I'm not sure he passed. So I heard that they've gone to recheck the criteria and bring it down a little bit. So we have a problem in Nigeria because...
You did not pass the criteria too?
I'm not on the list. And if he introduced young people, probably young people have not had that tainting. They've not been tainted in public office. Or I don't even call it young anymore. I call it the next generation. So I think maybe he needs to look into a pool from the next generation, because we're not interested in...
Do you know the criteria? I
don't know what it is, but I know that there's... Whatever criteria, if you put any reasonable criteria out, there are very few Nigerians who pass. That's what I know. Right? You know, all these...
So it had nothing to do with politics about who Bola Tinubu wants and who Obasanjo wants?
It relates to that. So
okay.
He has to. We know these are the people who put him there. We know that. Who helped him to get there. Now, we put him there. We put him there, but we do understand that there's this sense of, for now, and it's soon going to end because they're going to realize they have no power over stuff. But based on that, he has to accommodate their interests. So he says, bring your people. I'm just assuming here. And they put their list down, and he says, I've put my criteria. And that's why Buhari is kind of staying aside from things, and he's using committees. So committees set up criteria. This is criteria. If any of your people pass, they go. And Tinubu brings his whole list, and they go through, and nobody passes. So you're done. I try to accommodate your interest.
One last thing. Tinubu, they said this week that he's under pressure to leave the party. And today there's news report that he's been picked to most likely to be the board of director, the chairman of the board of. What is the issue around Tinubu and the Buhari's team? Is the conflict, can it be resolved? Because there's no doubt that there is something going on.
we did what we had to do. What we had to do was get rid of Jonathan and put Buhari there. I don't think I voted for APC, or what I did was campaign for APC. We used APC to put Buhari there. That's the way I see it. Tinubu can go wherever he wants to go or be wherever he wants to be. I'm not partisan. I don't think about parties. I don't care about that. I don't know whether you care about that. What we want is change in our country. So, you know, these people, they can keep fighting each other. What we want is people in office, however you get there, whichever platform you get there on, except PDP, which is a terror organization. But whichever platform you get in power on, do what you have to do. If Tinubu stays, he should stay. If he has to go, he has to go. But
if it's an obstacle to the change, what do you do?
Well, he's not a public office holder. We hold to account the public office holders. So we hold whatever conspiracy happened with Atiku and, you know, and Saraki, and, you know, how they mangled that and got all these senators to go and sit down and be drinking coffee somewhere. And, you know, that whole game, that whole joke, think about it. If me and you, intellectuals, bother ourselves with those kind of ridiculous games, what's going to happen to our intellect? I don't think we can entertain ourselves. We got rid of Jonathan, and we are going to protect the integrity, the Buhari we are talking about. We are going to protect that.
All right, we will stop here. I hope you will stay with me, because when we have the Skype calls, I want you to be here and also to join the conversation. Thank you so much, Dr. Braimah.
Always a pleasure.
All right, so when we come back, we have the African updates coming up sometime in the next hour when we discuss issues, stories around Africa. And of course, we have a lot of things, shows for you, including the governor of Plateau State. He's going to join us to talk about what he saw when he got into power in Jos. So stay tuned.